Shalom. Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. This is going to be Prophecy Watch, giving you an update of things that are happening right here in Babylon the Great, also throughout the four corners of the earth as things are moving fast. All right, you have to be very, very careful. The spiritual demon Satan, all right, is using, of course, Esau, Edom. All right, that's his children, but also those who are in league with him. You know, even particular Israelites, to take your mind off of the path, you know, off of the mission, and as the scriptures say, be sober and be vigilant. All right, because we're living in very, very dangerous times. All right, at the snap of a finger, things could change. All right, the world as we know it is getting ready to change. It's already changed. As we always tell you, from 2020 going forward, these devils, you know, press the gas on, you know, establishing their NWO. All right, and enchantment, psyops are at the forefront of how they're going to get it done. All right, and everything you're seeing is an enchantment, a psyop, and a means to establish order, to take away your rights, to take away your civil liberties. And as they say, when it's all said and done, you will own nothing and be happy, as a solution, all right, to all of the problems that they created. All right, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall be brought upon them. All right, and we're living in the times, all right, where there's all manner of issues, you know, problems, and they're going to offer solutions to those problems via AI, the technocracy, and everything that we've been going over. All right, and I also wanted to tap into something that I should have tapped into last night. All right, which that news and prophecy I did yesterday, I should have just waited because I was already tired. But the spirit was on me to just go ahead and get the information out. But as you can see here, you know, while everybody's, jumping around, riding in the daytime, the devil is moving forward with this plan. Now, yesterday, a critical incident took place where you have two West Virginia National Guard members killed in D.C. All right, and now Trump is talking about, bringing the National Guard, shutting things down. So let's listen to a little bit of this, because the plagues aren't going to stop. All right, as a matter of fact, when you get Second Esdras, the 16th chapter and the 5th verse, all right, and these plagues are being sent worldwide because all of the leaders of these countries are moving forward with this NWO. All right. And again, the civil liberties and the Bill of Rights. All right. And a constitution that stands in the way of the NWO is getting ready to be broken down. All right. Via things like, C-19 that happened in 2020. All right. And they're going to come with another one of those. It's going to be another demic. All right. It's going to be more and more, mishaps, shootings, outages. Okay. As you see, growing numbers of Americans are getting power shut off, as unpaid bills pile up. All right. That's one, but here's the one I really wanted. Severe internet outages keep happening. All right. And when you listen to, Trump and the boasting of AI could fix that. The power grid is too weak. All right, to deal with, the system that they're putting in place, the data centers and all of that. So there's going to be outages, but they're going to blame it on the weakening or a weak, all right, grid. And the solution is going to be the technocracy AI. All right, they're pretty much bringing you all of the issues, all right, at once. People calling your phone. There are all kind of numbers calling your phone. Accounts are being hacked. So we need a solution to the hell that he's created on purpose. Even, all right, with this situation here, Here it is. You had Joe Biden that allowed all of these illegal immigrants over here. Okay. And Donald Trump, granted them, I believe, a year for those trying to seek asylum, which seeking asylum means that you're leaving your country from threat of war, persecution, injustice or whatever. And you could come over here to the Americas and seek asylum. Okay. So Trump granted those very immigrants or migrants, which if you're seeking asylum, then technically you're not an immigrant, so to speak. It's all kind of technicalities they have on, but this particular individual here who is responsible for this shooting, as a matter of fact, let me do it this way. Bring it up this way. I think I put it on one of my posts. Let's see here. Oh boy. Let's go to my page here. Visit community, post. Ministry is rooted in post. All right, here you go. The National Guard shooter has been identified as Rahmanullah. All right, you see the name. An Afghan illegal who entered the U.S. All right, he entered the U.S. In 2021. Okay, and remember, Donald Trump, I believe, gave them a year. He granted those trying to seek asylum another year to get the process done. So again, you're looking at problem, reaction, solution. You're looking at the left and the right working together as a means to bring about this new world order.
Hey guys, Dabu 7. We've got reports of 2 West Virginia National Guard members that have pretty much been assassinated at this point, killed in D.C. The location, not far from the White House. You can see right there the arrow and the image. And the suspect is believed to be alive right now and in custody, wounded, and as Trump says, going to pay a heavy price. The shooting taking place kind of out of nowhere, where this individual walked up on these troops working or standing at this corner, and he shot both of them at point blank range. This is what they called a critical incident, and now confirming that both of those soldiers have died. So RIP to those soldiers. And we'll see how they're going to label this whole thing and what's going to happen to this individual. But I just wanted to put it out there and let it be known that this has gone down. 2 National Guardsmen from West Virginia called up to work this D.C. area, getting just assassinated at point blank range. Critically wounded at first, but now confirmed both dead. The White House, they say, was also on lockdown. They say there's an estimated 2,375 National Guard troops positioned across Washington, across D.C., where they've been deployed since August. So that's more than usual, definitely more than 500. And this, unfortunately, looks to be something that's going to feed into chaos and potential civil war. Going further down this route. Join me for the live stream tonight, Brom.
All right, so let's get a few more.
Heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity. I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price.
So you hear the terms animal, and they're setting the tone. I believe he's tied to, as they say here, suspect in Washington, D.C. National Guard shooting had ties to CIA. Same thing as Osama bin Laden. All right. Again, they're rinsing and repeating. They don't have, much more in the arsenal outside of just bringing full-blown sword. But we know he's going to eventually have a manifesto. We know he's going to eventually be tied to Islamic, terror. Okay. And eventually they're going to use AI to root out people who are a threat and a terror to their kingdom. All right. Again, that's going to be the new eugenics, as we've told you, that we're going to tap into their scientific racism. So when you hear Esau saying things like savages, all right, you know that they're moving forth, all right, with a plan. Okay, and these plagues ain't going to stop. As I was going to read here, this is the book of 2nd Esdras 16:5. Plagues are sent unto you. This is a plague, even though, you know, it's more than likely that it's a setup. Okay, remember the left hand is in power. The left hand is, all right, responsible for a lot of the plagues that are sent, but it's still sent by the Heavenly Father. Even, you know, storms, floods, earthquakes, they have the ability to bring these things about with their technology. All right, but the Lord has them operating in this spirit because they need to bring about order out of the chaos they've created. Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May a man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may one quench the fire and stubble when it hath begun to burn? All right, and it eventually is going to lead, all right, to the missiles being shot. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. So these plagues, which there's another one. There's another one. There you go. Yep, 2nd Esdras 15:5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. See? For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the earth, and their hopeful works are, all right, fulfilled. Okay. Verse 11, but I will bring them again with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So these are plagues, crime, the uncertainty, perplexity. All right. All of these things are plagues being brought on by the Heavenly Father. But again, when you hear this devil say things like savages, all right, remember that's what he labeled the Native Americans. This is what this is what they're using their media to label you Israelites with the whole snap. All right. Notice they keep, all right, so-called black faces in the news as the problem of what's keeping their kingdom from forwarding. All right. Notice, all right, the constant, concept of Islam being a threat or a plague or a cancer to their society. Notice how Vocab Malone always tries to, at first he started out coming against the Muslims, then he come out talking about the Israelites. They're trying to link the two because ultimately they're getting ready to make a move, all right, and justify rooting these people, all right, and blacks are going to be tied, all right, Israelites, period, blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans are going to be tied, all right along in with the so-called Muslim as, the threat, all right, to life itself. So laws are getting ready to be passed, all right, with the technocracy that's put in place to root your ass out. And we'll show you a little bit on that. I just want to get a little bit more going into this crime against our nation, as you see here.
Animal who perpetrated this nation. It was a crime against humanity. I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price.
Fox News alert, FBI investigating the shooting of 2 National Guard members as an act of terror, as the DHS confirms the suspect is an Afghan national who entered the U.S. on a visa under the Biden administration. Fox News contributor and former NYPD inspector Paul Morrow joins us now. Paul, you've done...
And I believe in April, Trump granted them a year. I'll look into it. All right. But as you can see here, the blame is on the Democrats, some blaming Trump, which just goes directly into what the scripture said will happen in Revelation, the 13th chapter, in the 11th verse. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So we're witnessing the 2 horns like a lamb. All right. Even with the government shutdown, what was the narrative? The left, the right, the left, the right. Meanwhile, people's lives are being destroyed. All right. But as you can see here, this is a channel. Trump granted asylum to the D.C. shooter in April. All right, let's listen to a little bit of this.
Alert, the suspect who was involved in the shooting of 2 National Guards members in Washington, D.C. earlier in the day was approved for his asylum application by the Trump regime in April of 2025. Let me repeat that. It was the Trump regime that approved the suspect, who we believe to be the shooter and the terrorist who attacked in a premeditated fashion these National Guards members. Trump's regime approved asylum in April of 2025, right? As the Trump regime has been going after grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles who have been here in the United States paying taxes, being productive. They've been going in the factories and the farms and the restaurants. Trump has gutted America's counterterrorism capabilities, and it appears that this may be an example where Trump was targeting the wrong people, not the criminals, not the people who were potentially going to be involved in terroristic acts. Trump was going after the people who were being productive. What do we know?
And notice, meanwhile, now the talk of the Epstein files, that's going to be put on the back burner, which all of it is a psyop, in my opinion. How they're playing the Epstein files is that all you have these, 12, 13-year-old girls, that were a part of, a sex ring, but it's deeper than that. There was infants, organs, transhumanism, experiments, and it's not limited to just the Epstein Island. But again, there's a lot coming out, and there is something going on because, things are, being outed. But again, all of a sudden, when the talking point of the files being released, the boom, another shooter. And this is the narrative you've seen with Esau over the years. Whenever he gets cornered, all right, either he'll have some scandal come out with a Jake, right? He did it with R. Kelly, or he'll have some sort of terroristic act take place, which people's minds are all over the place. People aren't rooted. Some people are able to see particular things and call it out, all right. But overall, people are drunk, all right. Trump is losing support left and right. People are leaving his cabinet. People are, dropping from Congress. Certain colonels and admirals are saying they're not going to take his orders as he's just blowing up ships in Venezuela. He's just a madman. All right. But you have to understand he's operating under the orders of the elite, and most likely he himself is under blackmail. All of these, this is how they operate: corruption. OK, they all got dirt on one another. They're all a bunch of Satanists. But the will of the elite is being done to break down the Constitution of America and bring about a new order here, because people here are used to liberties and freedoms that they don't want to go into the new world. So they're doing everything in their power to break it down. But as you can see, you're going to go to some channels and they're going to blame the left. All right. The Biden allowed all of these people in. You're going to go to some channels. They're going to say, well, no, it's the right. OK, but we believe they're all working in tandem.
Know about this suspect? Let's break it all down, and then I'll show you a stunning admission that Trump made moments ago, where he's like, oh, it was Biden's fault because the person was let in 2021 and we didn't even know how to figure out who this person was. But here's what we know about this individual. You see the individual right here. The name is Ramanullah Lakanawal. From Afghanistan, 29-year-old Afghan national, entered the United States in 2021 as part of a group of Afghan refugees who were fleeing from the Taliban. There was a process and procedure there associated with vetting these individuals. And as far as we know, this individual did not engage in any terroristic acts until now. And again, it's just a suspect, but this seems to be the individual. His name is Lakhwanal. He entered the United States on a special immigrant visa as part of Operation Allies Refugee during the American withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. We believe that his permission to be in the U.S. expired in September, but then later on he applied for asylum and was granted asylum in April by the Trump regime. Here we have the description of what went down here on CNN. Let's play this.
What we know is that he comes here from Afghanistan. Now, this is a guy who's been living in Washington State, not Washington, D.C., on the other end of the country. He comes here from Afghanistan in the summer of 2021. Remember what that was like. Refugees fleeing Afghanistan. People had to be recommended by U.S. people on one end, vetted on this end by government background checks as far as they could do in Afghanistan, have sponsors and so on. He settled in Washington. He applies for asylum in December of 2024. Now he goes through another vetting process involving that, and he's approved for asylum in April of this year under the Trump administration. He comes in under the Biden administration. These checks are being done. I remember as a part of the Joint Terrorism Task Force in New York, where we supplied people for that vetting process, it was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of people. They were being kept in military installations. A lot of that vetting had to be done very quickly. I also remember we had to go back afterwards when we found information on certain people and bring them back. In this case, that's all we know about this individual, but it appears that he must have.
So now this is going to be, call for more surveillance, stricter policies on who's here, who's what, a digital ID. I mean, if the writing's on the wall, okay, this is going to justify bringing in more surveillance and using AI, Palantir, and all of the things we've been warning about through the Holy Spirit for years. Okay, problem, reaction, solution. All right, and again, the narrative is always, all right, the left or the right. Again, that's how they use the two horns like a lamb. All right, but again, he's getting ready to speak as a dragon. Okay, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 12. And 12, it says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So the devil is coming down with great wrath because his time is short. So we're getting ready to see an uptick, all right, of, issues in which they're going to say what? All right. 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, all right, as travail upon a woman with child. Okay. So let's see here. Let's see what
the suspect has been identified in the DC shooting. I want to talk with you guys about this in an honest way, because I'll promise you, right now tensions are very high in the USA, and depending on which outlet you watch, they're all going to say one thing, and they're all going to say something else. And I'm going to try to go over everything as best I can. This is right here. Suspect in DC National Guard shooting identified as 29-year-old Afghan national. Here's what we know. Okay. You also have this.
So we already know that.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I just want you to know that we are building a community here of independent, pro-democracy people that we still, at least having governor of Illinois, whom he's wildly jealous of. I'm talking about J.B. Pritzker. We have him calling.
All right. So that's that. I mean, we can watch all kind of videos going into it. I believe the Elder Barack Gabar. Salakia shit. I'm a Juan Gabar, Salakia. GMS Awakening 144. He had this video. Let's play a little bit of this.
This video I'm about to play is over 3 weeks old, so it's just a random video I found concerning the topic. So just watch it real quick.
News has confirmed that the Pentagon ordered all state National Guards to form what they're calling quick reaction forces, available for rapid deployments to address potential civil unrest. CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga joins me now to go through all of this. Okay, so Nicole, can you walk us through what this all means?
Yeah.
So they, again, as the scriptures say, right? Isaiah 10. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, that they in that right grievousness which they have prescribed. So they already got these bills and these plans set. They just need the necessary things to take place to justify bringing it, man. Okay.
This is the largest change to the domestic mission of the National Guard that we have seen in well over a decade, Caitlin, and let me explain why. The leaked memos show that the National Guard Bureau is standing up quick reaction forces across all 54 states and territories, and they mobilize in the event of domestic disturbances, civil unrest, federal emergencies. We have seen them before in natural disasters, like, say, after Hurricane Katrina. But this would be a more permanent change, and it all hinges on the executive order that we saw President Trump put out back in August that also spurred the federal task force that was tough on crime, in the president's words, here in D.C. Now, each state already has a homeland response force that is tasked with chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear response. Now, they will have a dedicated riot control element. That is the team that we are talking about now.
And what would this look like in practice?
Yeah, practically it would look like a few hundred personnel within each state. The sizes do vary based on the state. And it includes a subset of 100 troops that are always ready to deploy, including 25% of those troops ready to deploy in as little as 8 hours, 100% of troops ready to deploy within a day. So they are designed to mobilize really fast, trained in non-lethal weapon use, riot formations, escalation of force tactics. Each state is going to receive funding for the gear they need and also 2 trainers per state that can sort of keep this program up and running. Of course, a lot of criticism, a lot of concern about the blurring of the military and domestic law enforcement operations. And we have already seen in cities across the country.
The military will be over your domestic affairs robots as well, because you know there's going to come a point humans are like we can't do this to our own citizens anymore, because they're going to be justified in taking certain people out, all right, with their AI eugenics plan, all right, because they're going to there's certain people that have to go in order for us to have peace and safety, okay, and you know the target, all right, is the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American and the Muslim. See that? Historically, this is how Esau has operated.
Country, be it in Memphis, in Washington, D.C., task forces being tough on crime, plus National Guard deployments and the federalization of the National Guard in places like Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago.
Right.
So we are likely to see legal challenges here. The Posse Comitatus Act still stands. And, you know, it compounds the existing controversy around federalized Guard deployment here in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. I think as a lot of people are wondering what this means for those federal deployments. Nicole Skinga, thank you very much. We'll keep an eye on that. We appreciate your reporting.
Thank you.
So as you see or seen in that one video, all this does is contribute to the narrative that they're creating, you know, about lawlessness and crime so high, skyrocketing crime. And, you know, this is going to pretty much get state governors on board with this National Guard deployment that's supposed to happen or take place January of 2026. All right, the QRF, Quick Response Force. So I want to read, I just typed in National Guard shot in DC. I just typed in National Guard and it filled in the rest for itself. So it says 2 National Guard members shot just blocks away from the White House. And there was one article I read where it says a judge had blocked, you know, Trump's ruling on having National Guards deployed in DC. A judge blocked it, but now it's like, now they can point the finger and say, you see, this is why we need more National Guards because of crime like this. But I say all of that to say this, is that things are about to start moving quick, fast, all right? The whole purpose, allegedly, for these National Guards being deployed throughout these states is to counter, you know, uproars of the people. I'm not quoting it verbatim like how they say it, but uproars of the people.
Uproars of the people, yep. And certain ideologies are going to be attacked. They're going to use all of this to root out, all right, eventually, and come after the elect, all right? Alon of Israel, 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. This brother here, Job 14:5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And he has, you know, the technology to tap into the future, and the Lord showed him his end. So they're getting ready to try to use this technology and this AI and all of these different enchantments and, you know, satanic, you know, his blessing basically to justify rooting out certain people. Okay. And Trump just announced his AI Genesis mission, which I tapped into this yesterday, but this part I kind of didn't go into. I wanted to play a little bit of this and then we'll get out of here, because this is what they're going to use this technology to do. All right. Target, all right, ideologies and nationalities of people that, you know, it's really centered around getting Jacob out of there, man. All right. But they use the Islam terror thing, all right, as well, because they're going to link that to us. They're going to link that to a means to get these people out and justify brute force via the sword.
Ability to modify or correct specific regions of DNA to potentially treat or prevent diseases, okay? Remember this clip I played for you about their obsession with creating the perfect hybrid human race. They embrace.
All right. And the perfect race was always the Edomite. But with their eugenics, they always, all right, wanted to root out the bad weeds. Okay. And of course, we know Jake was the bad weed, but even some of their own people were the bad weeds. And if you look at older videos that have been done on this channel and, you know, brothers been going into, all right, let me go here. We talked about, let's see here. E was going to tap back into his pseudoscience. Okay? Scientific racism. All right? Boom, me and the elder Require Kwan, back in February, we said that we're going to tap back into their scientific racism, but they're going to use AI this time. Scientific racism is coming back in a major way. So when you hear Trump talking about savages and, you know, they're showing Jake in a bad light as the biggest problem as was ruining their society, all right, you're going to be a target. But now, all right, AI will be the factor, all right, and how they root all of these degenerate, you know, genes out of their society, out of their garden. All right. But you know, they targeted you via, you know, extermination, sterilizing you, Planned Parenthood, so that basically your race couldn't, you know, afford itself. Well, now they're going to use AI, all right, and these technologies to root particular people out using shit like this. These people are a threat to our environment, our society. Boom.
A new pseudoscience born in Britain called Eugenics, which falsely claimed, with no evidence, that everything from poverty to prostitution, disabilities to what they called feeble-mindedness, could be eliminated if the individuals they dismissed as socially defective could be stopped from...
And they're using terror, all right? They're using poor, you know, the people who are inherently, you know, dumb and stupid. It's a pseudoscience, but they're able now to pass laws, all right, with AI at the forefront of it, on who needs to be rooted out of the world. Okay?
Reproducing.
Listen to what he said.
Abilities to what they faced a new pseudoscience born in Britain called Eugenics, which falsely claimed, with no evidence, that everything from poverty to prostitution, disabilities to what they called feeble-mindedness, could be eliminated if the individuals they dismissed as socially defective could be stopped from...
Savages. Okay? This is what the pseudoscience they use to go throughout the world and conquer people and to destroy them, kill them, pillage, rape, rob, murder. All right? And now colonization, which started in the British, all right, but really you can go back to the Spanish, the French. That's what, you know, ever since the Renaissance, this is what these devils have been on. But they use these sciences to basically say who can reproduce and who shouldn't, and who could we poison and who could we, you know, destroy.
Reproducing.
Shalakia, one more time.
Disabilities to what they called feeble-mindedness could be eliminated if the individuals they dismissed as socially defective could be stopped from reproducing.
I wish very much that the wrong people could be prevented entirely from breeding. And when the evil nature of these people is sufficiently flagrant, this should be done. Criminals should be sterilized, and feeble-minded persons forbidden to leave offspring behind them.
See, criminals should be sterilized. They shouldn't have offspring. Certain people, all right, and these are the sciences they use to go throughout the world and just destroy people. Okay? Colonization was very much justified by pseudoscience and saying that the people that they've conquered and destroyed were, you know, basically, you know, primitive, dumb, savages. They offer nothing to the earth. Right? So again, that's coming back now. All right. And they've been doing a good job of keeping the camera in front of who they're going to target. All right. As the problem to make their world better. Okay. You Israelites. All right. And Muslims. Right.
Theodore Roosevelt.
The idea was that the bad people have to stop reproducing and the good people need to reproduce more. Negative eugenics said.
Now, if you listen to Esau over the years, they you know, the white extermination, we're not reproducing enough. You know, you have all of these savages everywhere. We're being outpopulated. They're very much into this. They're very much crying. All right, this is why they love Trump. You know, they're very much crying for their race to be restored to dominance. Right? So they're positioning themselves as victims. Okay? This is what they're doing, man.
Sterilize the wrong people. Snuff them out. And that's the eugenics that the Nazis would pick up on.
Colleges and universities taught eugenics. Medical societies confirmed it. Clergymen preached it. John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie funded it. And some of the most prominent people in America championed it.
Planned Parenthood.
Alexander Graham Bell. Even Helen Keller.
It seems to me that the simplest, wisest thing to do would be to submit cases like that of the malformed idiot baby to a jury of expert physicians. If the evidence were presented openly and the decisions made public before the death of the child, there would be little danger of mistakes or abuses. We must decide between a fine humanity and a cowardly sentimentalism.
33 of the 48 states will eventually enact eugenics laws mandating the forced sterilization of wards of the state deemed physically or mentally unfit. People in prisons, hospitals, and asylums. More than 60,000 Americans would be sterilized without their consent before the last of these statutes was removed from the books in 2014.
That's what this is about. So this is the biotech aspect of artificial intelligence and the build out of artificial intelligence. This is about every person having their own, the data on every single person. Okay. So all the data on you and your own file, everything about your blood tests, all the blood work you've ever had done, every disease you've ever had, whether you went to the doctor.
So what they're going to do, all right, this is crafty counsel. Okay. Psalms 83 and 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Now, don't get it twisted. Some of their own people, even Edomites, suffered from these experiments. All right. But the target was Jake. All right. And they used things like inherently dumb, poor. All right. Born to be wild, born to be a savage, just inherently wrong for the earth. All right. So they use pseudoscience to, basically justify killing off certain people. All right. And again, now AI will be responsible for this. So it's going to be upgraded. So their pseudoscience, their scientific racism is back in a major way. OK, so what AI is going to do is help. All right. And give you an upgraded way to target who's wrong. All right. And who should be able to live and who shouldn't, who should be able to procreate and who shouldn't, who's going to be able to make it into the new world and who shouldn't. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They have consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Oh, okay. And the priest, Ayashamath, kingdom minded. He did a video earlier. I was checking out some of it. I got to finish it, but his latest news and prophecy, which he's live all day. But the devil is busy. He went into it as well here. Okay, he went into it here. He brought out some good understanding on it.
Wisest thing to do.
And asylums. More than 60,000.
Apnea, or you have a low thyroid.
Oh, all right. Fun. This one. Yeah. Born is, man. Okay. He wants to rewrite everything because he knows that he loses. Okay. In this reality, he loses. So this man wants to create a new reality, man.
A new race, new everything.
Okay, the inward thought of them is deep.
Yeah, they want to create new races. All right, they want to get inside everybody's gene pool and rearrange it, do away with certain gene pools, recreate man in their image. All right, and again, as he said, the heart is deep.
Okay, well, brother want to post it. Okay, and this is the same eugenics. All right, and they're gonna talk about these same people that gave you Planned Parenthood. Okay, and who do they, all right, target in Planned Parenthood? Eve. Okay, because it's a particular lineage that these devils want to rid out of the earth. When Cain slew Abel, he was trying to get rid of a seed. He was trying to get rid of a lineage. Okay.
Yep.
So you have to factor this into what this devil got going on in these times, man.
He got a lot going on, all right? And these technocrat Satanists, all right, they are definitely, you know, on the move, all right? Now, we'll get more into the so-called, you know, scientific racism and pseudoscience, but now it's being upgraded to AI, all right? Because it's not racism, it's science. You know, you people, you see the likes of Matt Walsh, all right? You know, a lot of these Edomites, even Jakes buy into these ideas, all right? You know, that pretty much, you know, the so-called black conservative, you know, they're pretty much, you know, niggas are just crying for no reason. Niggas are just stupid. Niggas, you know, the culture is horrible, which that's all true, right? But there's reasons, all right, as you know, when you look at Esau's hand and, you know, where our people are and where the world is, you can't just overlook that, okay? And we even are tired of our people, but we, you know, the black conservative, you know, deems to just take the so-called white man's error and all of this away and basically just, you know, blame Jake, you know. But it's a lot going on, you know, through the spirit. Check out this video that the brother did. Again, let me go back. The devil is busy. Okay. It's a real good video. I got to finish it. But yeah, he was going into it. You know, he was going into, you know, this whole, you know, Genesis, accelerate, you know, AI and all of that these devils are doing, but they're using all kind of issues and, you know, problems to justify what they're getting ready to do. All right. You think it's a game, and we're not in the time of games, man. Okay. And these will be the solutions, all of the sicknesses, you know, all of the mental issue, everything that, you know, this we see as that's plaguing this world. They're going to bring the solution via this technocracy AI, you know, and create a new race, right? And you're going to have to merge yourself with machine to even keep up. So we need to be crying to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, all right, you know, the more than ever in these times, because that's what the scriptures say, all right? Isaiah 19, right? In 19, in that day there shall be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. Okay, and this is that altar where we offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, going to the highways, doing these videos, repenting, praying. And it shall be for a sign and a witness unto Yahweh of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto Yahweh because of their oppressors, and he shall send them a savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. Okay? When the people of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua cried to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua for help against those who oppress them, he will send them a savior who will rescue them. So again, as it says in, you know, Psalms 144, I believe verse 11, rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children whose mouths speak vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. So this technocracy and this AI that they're getting ready to set in motion, all right, you know, they're talking about bringing troops, but it's going to be deeper than troops. AI will be used, all right, to target people, to say who should live and who shouldn't, all right? And just as they use scientific racism to just destroy, kill off, pillage, see, that's why they need your rights taken away, all right? And the threat of terror is a big, you know, that you know, you've been going back to 9/11. All right. The Patriot Act was passed. You know, now they're spying on everybody. Now, you know, your civil liberties have been chipped at. All right. Pretty soon you will have nothing, no rights. All right. No, nothing, no job. All right. And pretty much who's able to make it into the new world, all right, will be, you know, AI and all of these various different devils who are over it will have the final say. But this is where the Lord is eventually going to stop these devils. All right. Because they are worthy of destruction, man. All right. So I just wanted to tap into that. Just a few things happening. Hopefully I'll edify on to the next. Shalom.